I've been waiting a long time to make this video, and I'm glad that now I can finally make it and tell people what really happened back in 2022. As most of you are watching this already know, in 2022 I supplied 15 trucks to about 9 bands for the Notting HIll Carnival, and this was the most amount of trucks I think anyone has ever supplied to the carnival, including myself. Now, to give you a bit of history, I started doing trucks by myself in 2014. Previously, I worked with a band, learned a lot through them, and in 2014, I stepped out and did my own truck for the first time. That went very, very well. And over the years, I built up by adding one, then three, then six, etc., etc. And I created quite a name for myself because already I was known in the industry as providing great sound systems, great audio, also DJing, but this was a time that people recognized my quality. So what I brought to Carnival was I introduced a higher quality of trucks, making sure that the layout worked specifically for the bands. They weren't just given something that didn't work for them, making sure that the truck was safe as well. So if I use scaffolders, for example, the truck was actually safe for people to operate around so they didn't get hurt and cut, stuff like that. Then I started to introduce proper professional um, quality gear. So we're talking staging, rigging, the trussing, lighting, all of this stuff, pro sound gear as well. We're talking acoustics, marching audio stuff. Usually this is the stuff that you don't get at Notting Hill Carnival in any band, strictly because one, they either don't know how to access it or they can't afford it. Now, with my connections in the audio industry, it meant that I was able to get great discounts, and my experience as a professional engineer meant that I was able to design trucks perfectly, precision. And so over the years, I had great years, and I'm not going to say that I didn't have some bad years as well. Not all the time I provided a truck and it was perfect exactly as I wanted to, but things happen and you learn from them and you move on. For example, what sort of suppliers to trust, and when to pull the line and when actually to stick it out. And so most of the bands at the Notting Hill Carnival have had my service at some point, either directly or indirectly. So in 2022, I actually just wanted to go back into Carnival and enjoy it with my family. But again, it's the first year back from COVID, and most people didn't have any option to go to. Either sound system, production companies weren't operating anymore, or simply a case of things had just changed after the pandemic. So their access to services was different. And so I got approached by quite a lot of bands and quite a lot of big names as well, big branded names that were also sponsoring the trucks to do their floats. And it got to the point where I figured that a lot of these people need my help, because without me, one, they don't have many options, if not any at all, and two, they are all struggling because for the past 2 years they haven't had any income from Carnival. So they are working on a tightrope budget, but also with an industry that is also trying to recover by charging a premium rather than charging a regular state. So everyone knows, you want the best trucks, you go to Dijon. You want to have a specific truck that looks a specific way, you go to Dijon. I created a brand where people could see a truck and they knew it was done by me, strictly because the layout, the style of it, the way they operated, and the service that I provided meant that everyone got their truck come Carnival morning, no matter what, and the truck will be as they asked for or as designed. And if not, I will always do whatever it takes to make sure that that person is happy. I would float between different trucks, making sure the sound sounds good, making sure that the staging is all tightened up and neated up. We had stairs, all sorts of stuff. And talking, having a proper bar and a kitchen area and a lounge area and a toilet area and a DJ booth and storage. This is stuff that you didn't get on any truck, So when my truck started actually coming into Carnival, it was recognized as, you want a good truck, you go to Dijon. So everything was fine. I spent pretty much most of 2022, I think I started in about January, designing the trucks, checking over things, making sure that every detail was perfect. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, so I knew what I was doing. I had a format, and again, I designed everything in 3D. So I knew down to the millimeter what fits, what doesn't fit, how many bolts it's required, how many, angles, lengths, everything down to the millimeter. I knew it because I'd done it before, and I had been doing it throughout all these years. I have a black book, and in my black book, it's got all of the suppliers in the country. Well, when I say all, a lot. We're talking probably 80-90% of the suppliers for haulage, generators, sound systems, special effects, storage locations. Everything you need is in there, and it's all categorized by how much they charge, what their rate is, where their location is, all sorts of stuff is in this black book. So for me, operating as a sole trader and making sure that logistics wise I had this down to an art. And it sounds like I'm bragging, but that's basically how I operated. I took it seriously. I made sure that my reputation was everything. So I made sure that all of my clients were happy and satisfied with what they get. And I would stay up late at night, wake up early in the morning and put in 100% effort every single day for months on end to make sure that nothing was missed. And so, most of summer, everything went smoothly. I got in some late bookings as well, managed to accommodate them, and everything was just fine, ticking along just absolutely fine. And as August came, that's when things started to unhinge, where the initial supplier that I'd used previously, he had moved out of London, and what he had asked for, his requirements in terms of bringing the trucks to him out of London and then bringing it back, was just not going to work, Plus the because you got to think about logically, before Carnival, the trucks will have to come drive into London with all of the staging and sound system on the back of it. Now, I don't feel comfortable of them going down the M25 with this stuff on the back. It probably will be fine, but I don't want to run that risk. Also, the main thing is after Carnival, all the trucks have to go back there and get stripped off. Now, the further away you are from Notting HIll Carnival, the longer the whole thing is going to take. And if you run out of time and the drivers run out of time, this has happened before. And this is what I mean. I've learned lessons before where the driver has run out of time and had to pull over in the middle of the street and get out the cab. And I've had to call another driver to come and get that truck back to the end location because they simply ran out of time. Now, knowing this means that you either have to pay the drivers to stay extra, or you're stuck, right? And then you got to pay for extra staging, extra sound for an extra day. This is in the tens of thousands, right? This is no joke. So, and again, you got to recognize that the bands themselves can't actually afford this stuff because people don't recognize that the bands are all mini businesses, right? And although they might make a profit, their ability to make a profit is tight. One thing goes wrong and their profit can easily go out the window. So when they say we have a £10,000 budget, they're not joking. They have a £10,000 budget because I know, being on the management side of bands, as well as being as a masquerader and being a supplier, I know exactly how it goes. So I make sure that I always try to treat my clients with respect. I try to match their budget as close as I can. I think 2022 was the only time that I had to go back to them and say, look, this is the situation. It's going to cost more than what we expected. Are you okay to pay this increase? Or this is the alternative compromise. I understand that from people. Anyways, we had that issue, which meant, of course, I go to my black book, find out other suppliers, send it out for tender. Whoever comes back with a good price, good logistics, that's who we go with. Check them out, find their reviews, make sure they're all good. So I settled with this company called LJS. They operate in Uxbridge near Heathrow. And again, website looked fine. Their reviews seemed fine. The clients that they work with big names, Motorola, big names, right? Google, all sorts of stuff. So I'm thinking, well, I've had a conversation with these people. They come back with a good quote. Their website checks out. Their reviews checks out. What's the problem, right? They own the kit. I met with them, had a video chat with them. We went through every specific detail. They're like, we've got the crew, we've got the kit, we've got everything that you need, no problem. And I'm like, great, this is perfect. They can accommodate, they've got everything that we need, right? Problem solved. And then 2 days before Carnival, I get a call from the generator people telling me your generators aren't coming. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, we got some, yeah, your generators aren't coming. Sorry, can't help you. Now, I've ordered 30 specialist generators. So my generators never go down because I go and get event generators and I pay for them to be serviced literally just before they get delivered to wherever I need to or get collected. They get serviced, so I make sure that they're in top tip condition and they're not being mashed up by construction workers, right? So finding 30 specific generators for each band to make sure that the power requirements are bang on in 24 hours was like basically Carnival's not happening, you know. But I was like, I can't do that, and I also can't go to the bands and tell them this is the situation and leave them to fend for themselves. A lot of them can't, they don't know how to, and those that can will be screwed over by, I'm talking, charging 5 times more than they should do if they can even get it. Now, remind you, I've already spoken to all the suppliers, so I already know what's available, what's not available. So I did everything I could, and then I ended up going with HSS. Now, I don't like going with these people because 9 times out of 10, what you get from them is just potluck if it even works, you know. But they've been supplying to Notting Hill Carnival for a very long time. They're everyone's default because they're humongous, right? So I went to them and they're like, yeah, sure, we can get you a generator, no problem. I was like, what's it going to cost? They wanted 20 grand cash up front for what should have been £5,000 worth of kit. They're like, you got 2 hours to decide. They're like 2 or 4 hours to decide. Now, mind you, the generators were supposed to be delivered that day and I've got no option but to go with the only people that said we can provide you what you need, right? I was like, fine, do it. We're at the point where it is do it or there is no floats for any of these bands, right? Which means 2/3 of Carnival doesn't happen. So did it. I was like, cool, I'll figure it out later, right? Sort it out now, we'll figure out the rest later, no problem. Crisis averted. Then the Thursday, I get a call from LGS. So yeah, if you want your kit, it needs to be delivered today because the driver that's delivering it, he don't want to work tomorrow. What? So I'm like, okay, fine. I had to hire the yard for a whole additional week for that one day because they decided instead of organizing the delivery for when they were supposed to deliver it on Friday, they want a day early. Cool. Another grand down the drain. Boom, done. Right, crisis averted. Everything is working good. Friday now. I meet them at the yard. They're setting up, everything's there. I checked that everything has arrived. Cool. Making sure that the trailers have arrived. They put them in the wrong position. I had to call them and say, look, you can't leave them here. You're blocking the way. Oh, we ain't coming back. Well, you were given the instructions to put them where I told you to put them, and you didn't. And you need to come back. They don't want to come back. What do you do? All right, well, I've got other stuff to do. I need to go and get all of these other things for the bands to decorate their trucks with, go and get like specific stairs, like literally the only ones in the country that are perfect for these trucks. I had to go and get X, Y, and Z. So like, I ain't got time for this, right? We'll figure it out in the morning. As long as everything gets here, we're good to go. Send out a message because I hear from the generator company, by the way, if you don't pick up your generators by blah o'clock, you ain't getting your generators. The man wants to go home. I'm like, what do you mean? You're supposed to deliver them. No, we ain't delivering. You got to come pick them up. So Thursday, I had to send out a message. So Friday, send out a message to all of the drivers. On your way down, you have to pass this depot. Make sure you pass the depot and pick up your generators. These are your generators, right? Everyone got the message. Well, apparently everyone got the message. But turns out Saturday morning, crack of dawn, I'm up. I'm at the yard, ready to go. One truck turns up, he didn't get the message. All right, cool. These things happen. His boss didn't tell him the message. He's just the driver. Can't be mad at the driver. He didn't know. Tell him, can you go and get the generator? He's telling me, nah, like, can't you just bring it here? I'm like, well, no, because you need to go and get it. Everyone's gone to get theirs. Go and get yours. He don't want to go. Do you know what? Whatever. Just, someone said they'll bring his generators. We got a crane coming. We'll swap it over later. No problem. I asked this man, can you move the truck? It's in the way. Oh, no, it's fine. The trucks can get round here. This is what I'm dealing with. People that don't want to do what you asked them, what you paid for them to do, they don't want to do it. Just out of their pure stupidity, greed, selfishness, I don't know what you want to call it. They just don't want to cooperate. So again, not so much of an issue as long as we can get these first 3 trucks, which were the first ones to be built, get them done, get them out the way, no problem. Spoke to the yard down the road. They said, don't worry, we can accommodate some of your trucks as, you know, you got a flow going on. Fine. The initial plan was trucks come in, they get done, they go out, and it works like a rotation, right? So that way there's enough space for everyone to park, but the more space you've got, the easier it is to work with. Anyways, the day gets on, and turns out the generator company supplied us the wrong generators, right? They're like, oh yeah, this is all we got left, so you got to take it. I'm like, no. If the band needs a 100 kVA generator, you can't be giving me a 40 kVA generator. It's not enough power. It's not going to power their sound system. So I'm there like, okay, well, do you know what? Bring everything you got. On the way, I have to sit down there and do maths, trying to figure out how many amplifiers do they have on their sound system? How many microwaves? What is the balance ratio? How long is it going to last? Is it going to get them through Carnival, right? Trying to work out which generators I can swap with which band to make sure people can get through Carnival, because this is what we got, right? There is no other option. It's Saturday, build day, right? Fine, no problem. Figured all of that stuff out, recognized that a few swaps, we're good to go. A lot of the generators are just backup generators anyway. So as long as it's enough to get them through their sound system, which is the most important stuff, we're good. Problem solved. Right, then we've got Tropical Fusion turn up. They're cussing, they're vexed, they're this. This guy, Alex, that works with them, their sound system guy, is just the rudest, most arrogant, ignorant, stupid, dumb person I've ever met, right? And I'm going to call it exactly as it is, because this man was not taking any of our previous meetings seriously, you know? He wasn't paying attention. He wasn't answering questions properly. He's like, why are you asking me this question for such an attitude? I'm like, I'm asking you how big your boxes are specifically so I can make sure it doesn't interfere with your staging. This guy's got attitude. I spoke to Dwayne, the owner of the band, spoke to him many times. And he's like, don't worry, we'll sort it out. It will be fine. And do you know the alarm bells ring off and you're like, I shouldn't work with these people. But Dwayne came to me begging me to do his truck because he didn't have any other option. Now, anyone that knows me knows I grew up in Carnival. I know how it go. If you got a band and you're in a tight situation, you need your fellow masqueraders, your carnivalists to help you out. Because we already know the industry don't care. You try to hire a venue and you say it's for a soca event, they'll easily turn you away because they don't understand. You go to a production company, can I hire these speakers for Notting Hill Carnival? Notting Hill Carnival is like a curse word in the events industry. Can I get this Notting Hill Carnival? No, we don't supply to them. We don't supply to you lot. We don't do that, right? So they don't have another option. So they come to me, they ask me for help. No problem. Everyone in the industry, except from maybe Mike Forbes, I didn't hear from him. Everyone else at some point had called me that year asking for something, right? No problem. I help everyone out because it's not about a money-making thing. It's about us as a culture, as a people, trying to grow together, right? Anyways, Tropical Fusion turn up. They're kicking up fuss. They're kicking up argument. They want to start fighting, right? Now, what is all this about? First off, they had the option to come the night before and set up their sound system when no one was around. They didn't want to do it, right? Then I said, well, these are your options. You come the night before or you get it at 8 o'clock. Either way, the driver's not going to be here between that time. So take the opportunity where it comes or wait your turn. They're arguing that their truck isn't ready at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was never due to be ready at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's not on the schedule. Why do you think you can just jump the queue because you want to? Anyway, they're hanging around causing all sorts of problems, right? This entire time I said, look, your truck is there. You're free to go and set up your truck. No one's stopping you. Everyone else is doing their stuff. Go and do yours. They're arguing. More people from Tropical Fusion turning up, causing disruption, delay. They're arguing with this person, arguing with that person, the crew, all sorts of stuff. Throughout the day, they're constantly interrupting. I'm talking literally threatening people. The crew that was there, they're threatening them to do their truck now. What is this? What sort of operation are we doing here where you just turn up and you're threatening the person you're asking to help you to do their work? Like, and they're not even supposed to be doing your truck right now. Anyways, that's causing delay. Then we get trucks turn up, no floor. I've never heard anything like this, right? The truck turns up, they removed the floor out of it because they didn't think that we would need it. I don't know how logic works with some people, but if you know you're coming to a carnival, your truck is turning into a float, why would you not bring the damn floor? That's just stupid. So we had to go and buy a floor, make a floor for these bands, right? Gone to the shop, spent hundreds of pounds buying wood to make a floor so people got something safe to stand on. Gave it to the production company. You need to fit this floor? Sure, no problem. They started one truck, didn't finish it. Started another truck, didn't finish it. So I'm there like, yo, guys, come on, what's going on? They're asking me, oh, do you have the plans? Hold on, I'm paying you a shitload of money. When I mean a lot of money, they're getting paid a lot of money to do these trucks. They're asking me for the plans. Yes, I have the plans. I also know the plans off by heart for every single band. But you shouldn't be asking me this stuff. That's what I'm paying you for. Anyways, the day gets on and it's becoming, they kept saying, don't worry, we got this, a little bit delays, we got this, it's fine, we'll crack on, blah, blah. Now, as the time's going on, I'm dealing with one issue, constantly Tropical Fusion, another issue, then this issue, then the generators, then the crane, then moving this, then moving that, right? Now, again, I know how it goes. I've done this before and I know that things don't always go to plan. However, when you've got trucks that are turning up that aren't the trucks that you specified, you then got trucks turning up that are missing key components or have something in the way that shouldn't be there, right? Those need to be fixed. I called the backup crew. Yo, can you come sort this out? We spoke about this before, made sure that they were prepped, ready to go. Sure, no problem. Guy turns up, crazy price. Now, I know what he's charging me is extortionate, right? But I also know he's here now. And he came recommended by one of the bands, right? Yeah, this guy did a great job, blah, blah. Definitely recommend him. So I booked him months beforehand. Make sure you're on standby, because if I need you, I want you to be there with your crew and make it happen. See, I learned this from 2019 when I used another supplier and things didn't quite go as planned and we ended up a few hours delayed. So I recognize the one thing that you need when you're doing your trucks is hands on deck. Because if things don't go well, you need someone to fix it and fix it quick. So these people turned up, took the money. They stayed for about 45 minutes, bounced, hardly did anything, and left. Now, it wasn't even a case of they're saying we're done. Guy was just like, started doing something and just walked out. And I was like, where's he gone? He's gone. Calling the boss. I was like, yo, what's going on? Like, yeah, he left. What do you mean he left? Oh, yeah, he's gone. Nothing. So we're rolling into evening time now. We've now got Tropical Fusion constantly kicking off. And it's just like, what the hell is going on? Then we've got bands calling me, our truck is wrong. I'm like, it's not wrong. I measured this, blah, blah. Discover there's another issue. Right, fine. Don't worry. I put stuff aside, because again, I ordered spares for this reason, put stuff aside to make sure that this can be handled later, right? Had a plan. We're going to come later after this is done and make the adjustments. The main thing when you're doing any truck is to not focus on the small things, do all the big things first, and then you got all night to make as many adjustments as you need to, right? Problem. And it was like everything that could go wrong was going wrong, right? Sound systems turning up, blocking up the way how to move, put it on the wrong truck and this and that and whatnot. You know, toilet man turn up, different things in wrong places. And it's like, it was just crazy at the fact that there was a plan, it was logical, But everyone else that was just coming involved in this plan felt the need to do what they wanted to do rather than doing what you're asking them to do, what you're paying them to do, right? And I think it's when people see that leadership is lacking, or it's occupied, or they can get away with something without someone questioning them specifically, they do it. They take a full advantage, right? Not a problem. As the night's going on, I'm like, do you know what? We still got time, right? All we need to do is get this stuff up. Mind you, the entire time, I was just like, don't worry, we got this, right? We got this. The crane's here. We'll blaze through this whole thing. Now, one key thing to remember, they pre-built every truck, right? Pre-built every single truck the night beforehand. So all they had to do is lift it up, put the legs on, put the stage on, right? Now, each truck shouldn't take you more than 2 hours maximum, right? You can go on YouTube and you can see a box frame can be done in 20 minutes. It's just a larger version of the same thing, right? Box frame, put the legs on, boom, done. Previous years, each truck of the same design took an hour to an hour and a half max with no tools. So I don't understand how these people got 3 done in the entire time. I don't know. Anyways, running out of resources, running out of time, the whole thing just turned into a complete nightmare. Now, I can say I didn't have team with me. I hired team, and the people around me were just the people that were there, right? And the worst part that I did was the fact that I wasn't able to communicate with the bands early enough what was going on, because then they could have come and get involved themselves and try to mitigate what was happening. Now, that's an oversight. When you're in a crisis, sometimes the most obvious logical thing is just the thing that you don't think of. Like, call the bands, tell them what's going on, tell them to come down, right? These are just things that I'm trying to sort out the problems myself instead of ask the bands for help, because they're the clients. They shouldn't even know any of this stuff is taking place. They're just supposed to turn up, their truck is there, they put on their drinks, they put on their food, and they go. That's it. That's what's supposed to happen, right? So again, I'm still trying to manage the situation, but I think the evening came and I recognized this was not going to plan, right? This is way out of hand, and I didn't know how to fix it because I had the production company that lied to me and let me down. I had the most awful band, Tropical Fusion, that was just aggressive, violent, all sorts of stuff kicking off. And I've got haulage drivers. One of the drivers said to me, "You don't like it, you drive the vehicle yourself." I'm saying, did I not just pay you? Are you not being paid thousands of pounds to move the vehicle where I asked you to move it? The man said to me, he don't want to. He don't want to. That's it. It's like when you're working with people, and this is why it's so key to work with people that either come recommended, or have the right work ethic, so that you can rely on them when the time comes. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And I remember it got about 9 o'clock and I was just like, shit, what am I going to do? I don't know how to fix the situation right now. I've got no more money because I spent money trying to fix the situation. So then everything just kind of unfolded in an ugly way. And police had to be called because Tropical Fusion just went wild. It was just crazy. And they came, they didn't do nothing. They see a bunch of black people standing in the field and they're like, what's the problem? And it just all unfolded. So then at this point, I finally had a moment to just get my phone, get my laptop. Because again, I didn't know where this stuff was. I don't know where my phone was, where my laptop was. I'm just trying to sort out each and every crisis that was happening at that moment. Contact the bands, was like, this is the situation, right? I don't know what time it was, but I was like, this is what's happening. You need to come down now to help fix the trucks, because the crew walked off. Like, the crew that I paid tens of thousands of pounds to do the stuff just left in the evening. And then at some point, one of them was like, yeah, do you know what, if you want us to stay, you need to pay us extra. I'm like, but you've been paid for the job. You weren't paid by time, you're paid by the job. Anyways, it all just turned into complete mayhem. And went to go to sort out one truck. Went with a plan. Got there. I was like, let's do this. No one wanted to do it. Everyone was like, nah, man, it's too dangerous to do this. I'm like, listen, I just drove an hour down for this stuff, right? I've got everything you need. Let's get it done. It was wild that I said early on in the day, continue on as if there's no problem with the truck. We'll come and we'll fix it later. Turned up, they ain't done nothing. Nothing was done. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, I don't know how many times I said it. But I was like, look, we're here now, brought a team of people to fix this thing. And again, the rest of the team didn't want to cooperate. They're like, they're not doing this, not doing that, not doing this. And I was like, I'm getting sick and tired of people telling me what they're not doing. Like we don't all have the same goal here. Anyways, come back, continue trying to make do with what we could do. And bands were basically there fixing and making their own truck, right? They didn't really have much of a choice because no one else was going to do it. And people are turning up and they're like, what's going on? What the hell? And I'm like, people that know me, people that's been booked with me for years, I was like, you know me, you know my service. Does this look like something that I would do deliberately? Does this look like something that seems like I would have any association with? You know, and I'm crying my eyes out because I'm like, I'm seeing just absolute mayhem and recognizing that everyone's looking at me to fix this. And I can't even give you an option. I can't give you an answer. So that all unfolded, and then morning come, had to make sure again trucks leave on time. Some bands made it out with a truck, some didn't. The wild thing that really started to piss me off was that I left in the morning with the crane. Said I'll come with the crane, lift up truck, fix it, right? Did one truck. We're there with the team at something like 7 o'clock in the morning. Band didn't turn up. 8, band didn't turn up. 8:30, something like that, they rocked through. And I'm like, they're like, where's the team? I'm like, they left. They were here when we agreed to be here. You weren't here. They've gone. Okay? All we can do now is the best that I can do with me and the crane guy. That's it. So, got one truck sorted, no problem. Next one, ready to get it sorted. They're like, no, we're not doing that. I asked the sound system people, look, can you move your box, the top box, move it back just a little bit? We're talking a few centimeters. No, we ain't moving it. I'm like, please, just move it back a little bit. It's not going to interrupt your sound. It's got, like, literally just shuffle it back so we can squeeze the frame back down. No, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. I was like, I'm done. I am done with this shit. I'm asking people to cooperate as we make adjustments, and they don't want to do it. Come up with another option. Right, well, we can do this, but we've got to do it in a bit of a, not the best way, but it will work. No, they don't want to do that. Well, I'm between a rock and a hard place here because I've given you the options. You don't want to take any one of them. You don't want to cooperate. I'm done. Do what you're doing. Then I get some other woman. Don't know this woman at all. Effing and blinding and cussing me about her truck. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. No idea who this woman is. She's talking about her truck. I'm like, I haven't seen the truck, so I don't know what you're talking about. So she's like coming down my neck, and I was like, look, chill. Then someone else is also coming at me. I'm like, chill. 2 people now coming at me. Then there's this bunch of guys surrounding me. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? She's cussing about a truck. I want my money now. First off, we're in the middle of bloody carnival. Where are you expecting to pull out 10 grand from my pocket? Like I just walk with this sort of cash, right? I was like, show me the truck because I don't know what you're talking about. Saw the truck, recognized that the crew didn't put the floor in as they were meant to. She's cussing and this and that is not done right. I'm like, I'm trying to explain to her, this was not intended. I didn't ask for them to make it this way. X, Y, and Z should have happened. I'm sorry, but right this moment, there's nothing I can do about it because you're in the literal middle of Labatt Grove. I can't get anyone here, even if I wanted to. You have 2 choices. You either make do with the truck that you've got, or you don't. Either way, I can't fix anything for you right now. I'm one person. But people think that the crew is my people. I'm like, they're not my people. But you knew they weren't my people because I told you I'm hiring a crew of people. Then I don't own these people. This is not my company. So, anyways, they're holding me arrest at their truck, right? I'm talking literally won't let me leave. They got two guys holding me down. You can't go nowhere. And I had to like go and find them a way to rip up some wood off the side of the road and put it down. I'm going to the officer. I'm like, yo, nothing. Wild. That an officer looking at me in my eyes while these two people are holding me there. No reaction, none. Nothing. After a while, managed to get out of that situation. And I was thinking, do you know what? I am done with this shit. I'm trying my best to help these people off a situation that's gone bad that actually was not my fault. I employed the right people. I employed people to do a job. They didn't do the job. But yet still, I'm the one that everyone's coming at. Then we find out that one of the bands took the staging and stuff off that they didn't want and just dash it on the side of the street. What? If you didn't want it, just leave it where it was. Like, leave it on the truck. Don't dash it on the side of Carnival Street, you know. We're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds of stuff just dashed on the side of the street. So I'm like, nah, man. I had to load all of that up, drive back, and, you know, it was just awful. It was awful. Got back to the yard. I'm calling everyone and I know. Now it's festival season. Everyone in the industry is either working or sleeping or in the damn event themselves. There's no one. I'm calling everyone. Can I get this? Can I get that? Can I get this? Can I get that? People are like, look, I'll see what I can do, but no promises. Mind you, I have not slept a week. I'm exhausted. My brain isn't functioning. Nothing is functioning at this point. So stayed there as long as I could, tried to arrange a team of people. Rain turned up, and I got to take my hat off. These people are just amazing, because they were like, I see the situation. I ain't going to cuss you out. I'm just going to get on and do it, right? And they just figured it out. They had a picture from, obviously, our meetings. They just figured it out and sorted themselves out. Absolute bosses, right? So now, Carnival done. These bands are pissed off and they're coming back, and they're coming back raw. So I'm like, look, you know what? We can't be here with Tropical Fusion and Ignite the Fetters threatening people and going on bad like that. I'm not going to be here for this. Because one, I am too tired to even stand up straight, let alone be of any use to anybody. I spoke to two riggers, like people that are leaders in rigging. Spoke to two of them. I was like, look, this, whatever you can do to fix the situation, do it. This is everything I've got left. Make it happen. Stay here till it's done. The bands were there. I was like, just educate them what they need to do. Show them how to do it. Get it done. All right, cool. No worries. So we've got a plan. We've got two main riggers there to help everyone do what they need to do and get it done right, get it done safe. These times now, I'm KO'd, right? I'm done for. I've got, my phone is popping off from this person, that person, this person, that person. And these people are getting on nasty. I'm talking vile. Now, the worst part about this is one of these people was my closest friend. And she came down in the morning and saw what was going on, right? And she was like, you got this, you know, don't worry, you got this. It's only when it didn't work in her favor did she turn on me. And I was like, but you know me. You've known me for like over 10 years. You know that this is not what I would produce. Clearly something has happened. And you know, because you were there. You saw the people take the piss. So what the hell? Why are you blaming me like to say I deliberately did this to you? You know, like we're not, like this whole situation, we're not all in it at the same time. Watching bands steal. Tropical Fusion steal stuff of other bands' trucks for themselves that weren't even meant for them. They didn't even pay for it. Seeing bands steal from each other, seeing them like not helping each other, just broke my heart, man. I figured people don't seem to realize that when I'm doing these trucks, it's not about money. I'm not making thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. For each truck, if everything goes smoothly, I'm making between like 500 and 1,000 pounds most, if everything goes smoothly, right? And I do that. That's the buffer in case something happens. We got some money, right? But it's not about me just trying to get rich. I said to people, there is no money. I spent the money trying to fix the situation. I spent the money getting your generators here. I spent the money paying these extortionate production people, you know, paying extra storage, paying this, paying that. All of this stuff got paid for with your money. There is no money. People are coming at me left, right, and center. And then after all of that, I don't know what people ended up with on the day. I saw some photos and I just figured, wow, I don't know how these people have made it through, but I'm glad that they made it through. Some of them didn't make it through. Most of them didn't make it through. And that was not nice for me to experience, recognizing that at the forefront, it's me. You know, people are looking at me and I don't have an answer for them. And so that whole situation just broke me down. And yeah, that was the hardest time I've had in a long time, was recognizing that I let all of these people down and all of that pressure was on me. And seeing masqueraders without a truck, seeing bands have to get shit from their masqueraders because they ain't got a truck, especially the kids, seeing they ain't got nothing, no music, no food, nothing. Yeah, that wasn't nice. That wasn't nice. And so after that, I tried to communicate with the bands. I tried to communicate and explain to them what was going on without making it sound like an excuse. Just trying to give them some information. A lot of them didn't want to hear it. They're like, it's your fault. You did this. Da, da. And I just had to take it on the chin, because the reality was that it doesn't matter who let me down. I'm their point of contact, right? So if they don't get what they want, it's me. They don't give a shit if my supplier let me down. It's like, it's not a problem. I don't pay your supplier, I paid you. And that's how the chain of business works, right? I have a supplier, I'm the middleman. I'm taking on the responsibility of gluing everything together. But these bands, a lot of them, they're not thinking straight. They're not recognizing that actually they have been in the same situation before. As a band owner, you have suppliers, right? If your food don't turn up, your ice don't turn up, you ain't got no food for your masqueraders, right? So surely if you've been in that situation before, you would understand. They didn't want to understand. And again, it's when people are angry and when people don't want to listen, they won't listen. So LJS are taking the piss. They stole my sound system. Actually, like, they didn't, but got photos of it. They stole the sound system. And I was like, well, what do I do now? I've got no money. I was not working at the time, so that was my only job. Because again, I spent the entire year making sure that this was done right. I was like, well, how am I going to look after my family? If any one of these bands want to sue me now, that's it. I lose my house, I lose everything that I've got, because again, I was operating as a sole trader. And the reason why I was doing that is because I got into this as just passion for my culture. And I continue to do it because I was able to elevate my culture and elevate the people that were being screwed over by the industry. And when it came down to it, I didn't want to do it anymore. I just wanted to enjoy Carnival with my family. And instead, I was doing this one last time for everyone else. So again, LJS then put forward a claim against me for overtime of staff. Imagine that. Staff overtime, 10 grand. I was like, you people are taking the mick. So I then put in a counterclaim and fought for the bands. And I thought, you know what, right now, there's nothing I can say that's going to make any difference to the bands, right? I failed to communicate early and effectively the problems to allow the bands to get involved at an earlier stage, and X, Y, and Z may or may not have happened for them, or things would have been easier for them to fix. But the best thing I can do right now is to fight for them, to give them their money back. And I had to ask all of them, please don't sue me right now. I don't have any money for you, right? Some of them threatening me, really, really nasty threats coming to me. And they're like, you scammed us and you did this and da 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 da. I'm like, really? Do you see me rolling around on a yacht? If I scammed you all out of over £100,000, don't you think that I would be doing something with it rather than sitting in co-op? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, think sensibly. So anyway, I got myself a job, and then reached out to a charity. So I reached out to a charity to help me, and with that charity, they gave me a barrister. That barrister helped work through my legal case. But most of it was me having to do their work. When they came on in March in 2023, they were like, this isn't your fault. You hired a supplier to provide you something and they didn't provide it to you. So the fact that you didn't get it is just a byproduct of the fact that it is a chain of command. You can't control that, you know? He said, you got all the plans right. You did everything right. You've done this for a long time. You know what you're doing. You've succeeded at it year after year, no big problems. So it's not like you don't know and you're winging this stuff. You got the experience. I went to leaders in the industry and asked them, what did I miss? What did I do wrong? How did this happen? And it's weird to find that the biggest players in the industry were like, this happens all the time. They find a new supplier, that new supplier drops the ball, they're left holding. They're like, it happens all the time. The only thing you can do is make sure your contract is solid. I was like, well, my contracts are solid. They're like, well, then you got to take them to court. That's it. There is no other option. It's not your fault. Just take it on the chin. Learn what you could have done better. Move on. All of 2023, in and out of court, in and out of court. 2024 comes on, in and out of court. And then it got to April. Judgment in my favor. No question of a doubt. Cool. Assessment of damages. Now, the whole reason why I'm releasing this now is because this entire time I wasn't able to say anything because I didn't want to jeopardize the ability to jeopardize my court case, essentially, to fight for the bands. If I spoke out too soon and LGS or any of the other suppliers that dropped the ball were to use this against me, then that would hinder my chances of helping back the bands, right? So I had to make sure that I kept quiet, and it was horrible. I've seen some of the bands put some awful stuff online about me, and it's not true. But I couldn't tell them it's not true. I couldn't explain to people what really happened because all they're going to hear is excuses, no solutions. Now I have a solution. I've won the case. Without a doubt, won the case. Got a contract with them. They didn't fulfill their contract. That's it. Breach your contract. The remedies should mean that all of the bands get sorted out. And hopefully that now, 2 years has passed and they've had to do it themselves or they've had to go to another supplier, they recognize it ain't that straightforward. There's only so much you can do to control the outcome. There's some things that are not in your control and never will be. If you have a scaffolder that turns up and decides that, you know what, Chairman, I'm doing half the job and bounce, and you got to go and pay $2,000 for another supplier to come, you got to pay $2,000. If it's 4 o'clock in the morning and no one's coming, no one's coming. If you switch on your generator to find out there's no fuel in there, after you've done paid thousands of pounds to put fuel in there, what are you going to do? These things happen. But what's wild is that they only happen when it comes to Notting Hill Carnival, because you've got such a short turnaround. But on top of the short turnaround, you've got people that literally take the mick because it's Carnival. They know they can, because they know that you're desperate. They know you don't have time to argue with them. So they take advantage. You know, people that feel like they get the money up front. So they don't have to do good service because they already got paid. And they already know that you're not going to take them to court because it's going to cost too much to take them to court. So you don't bother. So they're like, do you know what? I can just do what I want. Had sound system man turn up. He didn't even turn up. His riggers turn up. Set up the sound system. No cables. No distro. And I'm like, you got to be bloody joking me. How are you running a sound system? No cables. Literally, just put the box on the truck and leave it as so. You didn't even plug the box in. What is that? Explain to me, what is that? Then he's talking about, oh, it's not his responsibility to provide a distro. I'm sorry, what? I don't know what kit you have. So everyone provides their own damn distro. Every other sound supplier that supplied those 15 trucks brought their own distro. This one didn't. And he's like, oh, it's my fault. It's my fault he didn't bring his own stuff. You got to be joking me. Or requested it. Look back on our messages. Clearly said, bring your own distro. Anyways, we are where we are. So I don't know if I'm going to get back into supplying, because the behavior of some of these bands was disgusting. And the lack of support from some of them was awful. However, there were a few bands that were amazing in just understanding that there's no way something as catastrophic as this could have happened because I just wanted to screw people over. No. And so they understood that, you know what, shit goes wrong. I made my mistakes, my bad communication on the day, how I handle a crisis. You know, we're all human, we all learn. But we'll see what happens.